All right. This week on Finally Seen, we are talking to Chelsea Williams, and she is a Forbes Advisor Board member and founder of Money Mastery, a financial literacy agency that empowers women to reclaim their financial narratives. Starting from a women's shelter, she rebuilt her life by mastering how to grow wealth with clarity, confidence, and purpose. With over a decade of experience advising entrepreneurs and individuals with her fractional CFO agency, Chelsea champions a mindset first, no shame approach to money, delivering her message through workshops, coaching, and her podcast called Always and Never About Money. Please welcome to the show, Chelsea Williams. Hi. I'm so excited you're here.
Hey, Chrissy, me too.
I absolutely love this topic because I feel like women just don't get to talk openly about it, or, they're too scared to talk about money. And, I mentioned in your intro that you started pretty much at the bottom. So walk us back a little bit and explain, where you were in that spot and what kind of triggered in you to go, you know what, it doesn't have to be like this.
To be honest, I was in this spot financially where I had nothing. What got me there was the mental. And I think that a lot of women can relate to that, where we compromise and we tolerate. And a lot of that, I think we can find grace in our history and the things that in 2025 we are finally coming out of. Because for me, I always had this basic understanding of money. I don't have one of those stories where I fell to the bottom because of a money mistake and then I learned my way up. I was very grateful to have this fundamental understanding. But my story speaks to hearing it out loud in this way is that, you know, money is a reflection of where we are mentally and who we are mentally. And if we can unlock ourselves, that's where we can position ourselves to unlock our money.
I love that. And I 100% have experienced that myself as well. And I love one of the things you talk about is give me your bank ledger and I'll show you your values. When I first heard you say that, I was like, oh my gosh, she's so right. So how did you come to that realization?
It was definitely a journey. I think when people think of accountants and tax preparers and finance people, they think of these really boring, buttoned up people. And that's how I was taught, right? Because that's what I went to college for. I really hustled my way to this place. Shortly after the women's shelter, I became pregnant with my daughter. And that is what saved my life and really fueled my motivation to build my way up to this point. So I learned the traditional finance education model, and I agree with most other people. It seems really, really boring. But the thing is, my brain worked with it. It was undeniable that this is how this made sense in my brain. And if most people avoid this or don't like it, I should probably run with this for the livelihood of me and my daughter.
You're like, no, I don't detest it, so I can do it.
It's like, I think there's something here. And it was a move of faith because I had no idea where the road was going to lead. I just knew that this was the next step. And sometimes all you need is just that next step. Looking too far down the road, we'll get overwhelmed and we'll back out.
Yeah.
But if you can find alignment in your next step, the possibilities can be amazing. And that was the case for me. I took my first accounting job, not because it was offered to me, but because a CPA dropped the ball and I saw an opportunity to step up. And so I took that opportunity, and that business owner gave me that opportunity, which I will forever be grateful for. That opportunity led me to an offering at a tax and accounting firm here where I live. And I became vice president within a year, and I was going to take it over. Unfortunately, it did not work out that way. But my biggest realization that I took from that experience into my own business that I started after I left was we as financial professionals are not educating our clients about how to use the tools that we are giving them. We know how to speak the language of money and accounting. They don't. And my experience there was that nobody was proactively bridging that gap. And so when I started my own business, that was my goal. I wanted to bridge that gap. I don't want to just give you numbers on a sheet of paper in a report. I want to teach you how to speak the language of money, how to see the numbers on the report, but understand the story behind those numbers. And then eventually, what I came to realize after coaching people for probably 3 to 4 years is that it is always and never about the money. Money is a fractal. And yes, if you give me your bank account and your calendar, I will tell you what your priorities are in life. And in order to change your money, you have to first change yourself. That's why it starts within. Your money reflects your values, it reflects your priorities. And that is what we are here for. We're here to establish and live and embrace our values. We're here to prioritize the people and the things that we love. And the only thing money is ever really buying us is time. It's what we're doing with that time that really matters.
I love that. And, you're right. Because especially down here in the South, we grew up with money is evil. Bad people have money. Oh, it's selfish to have money. Money is the root of all evil, those sorts of things. But then when you think about it, money just amplifies who you already are. So it's like, that's why a lot of, I guess, lottery winners win their money and then a year later they're broke or worse off than they were. So I love that you say that. And I love that you also talk about having them understand, like, yes, here's your ledger sheet, but here's what it actually means. And I think you're right. Most businesses don't understand any of those numbers. And that's where a little bit of the scarcity mindset comes in, or the fear, just because it's fear of unknown. So while they're looking at all these numbers and it could look scary, they might be just fine and no need to be scared, but yet it looks scary. So I love that you're doing that. And you did that for the law firms for years, and now you're branching out into women. What is it specifically about teaching women that really drives your engine?
The second piece of what you said, when I try to teach somebody about how to read financials, when you put someone in a position to face their numbers, their deepest insecurities come out. And that's the mindset behind it. And what we need to understand about mindset, and not just money, but everything in life, is that we are given a set of beliefs when we are born. 50% of our core values and beliefs were absorbed by the environment we were in and the people in that environment up until the age of about 12. Those beliefs show up in our money. So what we were given from history, from our childhood, that's what we walk through adulthood with. And when you're facing your numbers, you're faced with all those things. And one of the things that we have to do if we're going to have a money breakthrough is we have to let go of what we have perceived as a truth that is actually a lie. And they're in place for a lot of different reasons. And I give grace to parents, my parents, the parents of the clients that I work with, because they don't know what they don't know. And when it comes to women, we have a very specific experience that is carrying forward in our generations from history, and it has molded us. And it is only this generation that gets to experience the truth that we actually hold in money. Because for so long, we've been told we're not supposed to be a part of it. We shouldn't manage it. Heck, at one point in history, we were literally an asset on our husband's balance sheets. We couldn't own anything.
Oh,
We don't know what it is to own our own thing. It was only 50 years ago that women were finally put in a position legally where we even had the opportunity of financial control and abundance and freedom. So I love speaking to women because we are on the precipice at this point in history that could change the rest of history. And so for me, my mission and my goal is to prepare women for that opportunity, to help them identify where their limiting beliefs are showing up in their money, let go of truths that are actually lies, and start to define who they want to be and how money shows up in that story.
I think for me, one of the things that I've heard you talk about is, the truths that aren't actually true. Money doesn't grow on trees. Making money is hard. Things like that, which, I don't really understand where I necessarily got that concept from. It must have been when I was super little. I'm not really sure. Whereas like my husband, I know he got it because they were extremely poor. I guess he describes them as very poor. I mean, literally, he had to shoot their food, grow their food. Like if they didn't shoot it or grow it, it wasn't being eaten. And so, that has transferred over to our household. Our fridge has to always be packed. And even if, I'm like, we're never going to eat all this, but it has to be packed and our pantry has to be packed. And, now that he's older, it's a lot better. But I didn't put two and two together earlier. I was like, why is our fridge always so jam packed? Because I don't like clutter. And so it was an interesting thing for us to navigate through. But now that I'm understanding all the mindset concepts and the quantum physics side of things, it's like, okay, now I get it. And you're right in preparing women, because I feel like we're catching up at such a rapid rate that it's like we better get ready, because we are about to be in control of a lot of money.
That's the good news. The good news is we're already doing it. But here's the thing. Yes, there is a gender wage gap. Absolutely. Yes, there is. Absolutely, it's not an equal playing field. But when has it ever been? Number one, what are our expectations here? And number two, if you look at the data, from the time women entered seats at the table and started getting financial control for themselves, if you look at the entire timeline of history versus that little blip on the radar where we finally got access to everything, it is only a matter of time before we meet or exceed what we are trying to achieve here. It's astonishing. Women, we need to give ourselves a round of applause, because seriously, if you look at the data, you're like, oh, we're there, and we're about to pass it. You just wait.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. And it is so exciting, because I do see it that so many more women are owning like businesses, and they are owning their financial futures. And you said that yes, there is a financial gap, a wage gap. Absolutely. So we can name it. But I feel like if we name it, but then sit there and like kind of lay that on top of us, like, oh, there's a wage gap. And that's really approaching it from a victim mindset, and that sets you in a lower vibration, which quantum physics wise will prevent you from ever filling that gap. So it's like we have to name it and then go, okay, where are we stepping forward? It's like, what are we going to do to bridge that gap, rather than continue to sit and talk about, oh, there's a gap, there's a gap, there's a gap. Hey, we got it. There's a gap. Let's jump ahead.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate that, because, and that's really what I aim to do, and what my upcoming book is aiming to do, is completely shift the perspective for women everywhere. Because you're absolutely right. If we accept and own that victim label, we are going to perpetuate an environment of victimness instead of recognizing what it is we've actually done and owning our understanding. And look, there is an education gap. Absolutely. It is called financial literacy. And yes, you're going to have to learn some things, but you're going to have to learn some things no matter what you do in life. This is the thing that's going to serve you, your kids, your family, future generations. And it is a never ending journey. I've been in the industry for 17 years and I'm still learning, because the truth of the matter is everything is always changing. Everything. Whether you keep up with it or not, there is no destination in this. And you know what? Half the time, we don't need as much as we think we need, even in terms of how much money we have to make. We have to, again, get back to those core values and get rid of the noise, because in today's day and age, it is so easy to be distracted. It is so easy to distract yourself with things from Amazon, with shows that suck up your time that you could be learning something new. The biggest thing we have to protect in this day and age is our minds. And it's a lot simpler than you think it might need to be, in terms of like, how much do you actually need? This is not an outlandish goal. There are people making an amount of money that would shock you, and they are happy, they are abundant, they're putting towards retirement, they're going on trips. It's knowing about, what do you say yes to and what do you say no to? And the things that you're saying yes to, is that really in alignment with your principles, your values, who you want to be, and where and who you want to spend your time with?
I love that. And you said something earlier and it made me think of something I know we've talked about before. And it is that the system isn't set up currently to have people rise up. And I know you've mentioned before that, look at the wealthy neighborhoods compared to the impoverished neighborhoods, and how many liquor stores are in each respective area. And it's like they try and beat you down subliminally to keep you in that spot. And so systemically, there are issues, but that's where the education comes in, and the awareness that no, actually, abundance is my birthright, and I don't have to live here. This isn't it. That's one of my passions, is to show kids that no matter what situation you're in, that's not it. It doesn't have to be it if you choose not to. I mean, my husband's a great case. He wore women's or, hand me down girls' jeans sometimes because that was all they had. But, he's shown that you can rise out of poverty. And my husband's Hispanic. So it's like, okay, it's not just because he's a white kid. He's not a white kid, or wasn't a white kid. I think he's a giant kid still, but no. But, so yes, there are systemic issues, but that's like what you were saying. It's all keeping our mindset and controlling that. And it is a lot easier than it sometimes sounds. And I know that when you're in the bottom and when you're in the mud, it seems impossible sometimes. I can attest to that myself, that you're like, this is never going to change. But then if you can just sit and shift your frequency, shift your mindset, it can change a lot faster than you would ever imagine. And it feels magical when that happens, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, and surrounding yourself, having that community, that village of like-minded people. Like, here's the truth. Nobody's coming to save me any more than anybody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save an entire culture or a gender. We have to be saved from the inside out. And what that looks like is having these conversations, replacing the conversations of gossip and what happened on last night's reality TV show with, hey, did you know that if you manage your money this way? Or, hey, what do you spend money on? Or, hey, I have a goal to make more and spend less. Do you want to be my accountability buddy? Right? Like, we have to save ourselves. And it's unfortunately the only way it's going to change.
Yeah, I love that you said to like-minded people, and it just made me chuckle because I just noticed you and I are both wearing pearls. It was not planned. And so, funny enough, I just got lucky. These are actually real pearls that I
Ooh.
actually found at a secondhand shop. I just was browsing in there, and I was like, holy cow. And, you can test for real pearls. And I was like, I'm keeping these.
Sure. Sure. Check me out, please. Yeah. Yeah.
So I got them, and Sienna makes jewelry, and I did offer first if she wanted to use them for something else, and she said, "No, Mom, those look pretty on you." So she let me keep
Aw.
them, but I do have the other things she made for me. So
Oh, I love this. We're just twinning all
I
day.
know, right? Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. From the second we met, we both felt like we were like sisters from long, far away. But you said something else too about the community, and I know that people say you end up like the five people you surround yourself with, and I can tell you that 100% works every single time. And if I find myself the smartest person in a room, I make sure I go find another room that I cannot be the smartest in. I'm not saying I ditch those other people, but I'm like, oh, I need to find some smarter people so that I can learn more. And I've just seen that. Have you experienced that in your own life as well?
Ugh, 1,000%. In fact, I just went to a mastermind in Virginia,
Right.
and this should tell you, right? Like, I flew from Illinois to Virginia for a 1-day mastermind, and it was worth it. Why? Because the minds that were in that room. Immediately, the conversation elevated me. Immediately, I had thoughts and ideas that were outside of my box of thinking at the time. And here's a really important first step and thing that people need to do to prepare for things, because this is what's going to hold you back. If you tell somebody, go find 5 people who are better than you, immediately we're triggered.
Mm,
We feel inadequate. We don't want to be the not smartest person in the room. But what we have to do is embrace humility and do it anyway. Because I guarantee you, you get in the right room and they're not going to be able to wait to lift you up. They're going to want to feed you and water hose you with all this amazing information simply to help you. And those are the rooms and the people that you want to be around, because you're right, it changes your vibration. And I have to do it for myself too, because if I feel my vibration getting stagnant, I'm like, I need to find a room. I need to find a group. I need to find a room. It's so easy to get lost in the weeds. It's so easy to fall into habits that you're used to, people that you're used to, conversations that you're used to. And another thing that people are going to face and prepare yourself is when you make the decision to elevate your mind and your vibration and what you're doing, some people are going to hate it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to want to grab you by your shoulder and pull you back with all the guilt and all the shame that they can throw.
Yep. They're going to say, oh, making money is evil. You're focusing on evil. And
Or you're too good for me now. Oh, that must be nice.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
You
That's one of the ththings. Must be nice. It's like, yes, it is very nice, but you
Yeah,
can have it
actually
too.
it is. Did you want to hear more? You can have it too, by the way, if you change your
Yeah.
mind.
That's one of the things like, I have thankfully been able to surround myself with really strong women who are not catty, not competitive. I mean, yes, of course, we're all competitive, but not in the way where we tear each other down. It's like, I challenge you, or we're accountabilities. Let's do this. Who's going to hit a million first? That sort of thing. So fun competition. But it's been interesting because when we look at each other's successes, it's not a jealousy thing. It's oh, heck yeah, she's proven it's possible. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. And I'm not going to lie, it's not an easy shift to make if that's not how you were raised. So it's like you look at somebody on social media, oh, I wish I could have that. You've got to shift it to, okay, that's possible, because that person's not really any more special. Yes, we're all special, but we're all equally as capable of achieving what we want, including, Sienna, my daughter, who's missing parts of her brain. It's like she still knows. I can't tell you how many times. Well, when I have enough money so I can build my tiny house, she wants a tiny house. And I'm like, you know what? She believes, and I'm like, who am I to say it's not? So yes, believe that you're going to have enough money one day to buy a tiny house, because could be. So, uh,
Yeah, I think that just like we have to let go of that victim mindset for women, especially, we have to let go of that competitive mindset. I mean, I don't know if it's a natural thing for young girls. My daughter's 18 and she went through it, is going through it with girls her age. We are so brutal to each other from a young age. And not only that, but for my generation and the generation before me, these women were the first women to sit at the table with the men. And in order to get to that place, they had to emulate the man. They had to embrace their masculine. They had to be in competition with other women because there would be 5 women fighting over one seat. And so all that did was perpetuate the culture within women's groups of competition and putting each other down and ill will towards each other. And that's another thing that we see shifting too, is that we're getting back to this place to where we can truly appreciate other women, acknowledge their achievements, support them, be there for them, not be out to tear them down.
yeah, absolutely. It makes me think too, like, so I've got this amazing peer group of other publicists, and we meet once a month, and we've probably been together about 5 years now. And just to watch our collective growth has been astonishing. And it's all because it's all about rising all of our boats at once. It's like, it's such a collaborative thing. And, it's like, oh, you need this contact, here you go. Or you're struggling with this client, let's see if we can figure out a better angle. And it has just made such a difference in everything. And another thing, we share numbers. Like, oh, this is what you're charging now? Girl, you need to raise that. Or, yeah, that sounds about right. Or, the market's doing this. Here's what we're seeing. Nobody is holding back on their numbers because we're not afraid that somebody else is going to steal our clients or whatever. We all know that the clients who are meant for us are going to come to us. And that's just how it is.
Yes.
So I love that. Have you found that in the fight? Being a woman in finance, I'm sure that's a little bit rare. Have you been able to find a group of females in finance?
So I don't have a network of women in finance specifically. I'm more geared towards people in my world. It would, who are serving the clients that I'm serving. Um, but I do coach my clients as well as individuals, even business owners, like let numbers be a topic of conversation. I mean, numbers feel like taboo to most of us. We don't have that conversation at the dinner table and we're terrified to say, oh, I make X amount of dollars a year. How much do you make? Right? That just feels ick and weird. But numbers can be very deceiving.
Yeah.
I, I will see a business making $250,000 in a year and a business making $7 million in a year. And the $250,000 business, that owner takes home more than the $7 million business. Numbers are so subjective, so deceiving. When you drive down these rich neighborhoods and they have nice cars and nice houses, I guarantee you 75% of them have more debt than they do assets. It's not as it seems. And so by opening up these conversations and trusting other women to give us feedback and support, they're looking out for us. They're looking over our shoulder. They're sharing experiences. They're saying, hey, how about if you did this or if you did that? Or you could make more. Go study the art of negotiation, because that's a weakness of ours too, and partially responsible for the gender gap.
Yeah.
Men negotiate more than women. So we have to own that and take action on that. So I do know that there is so much value to collaborating with women who have the same goals you do, who can provide you value, and who are transparent and non judgmental.
You said something that made me think. So, one of my mentors, this was my very first time to meet with them, and I've found various mentors and coaches. Whatever stage you're in, it depends on what kind of coach or mentor you need. But this particular one, I was telling him about my revenue for the first year in business, and I was pretty proud of it because I thought that was pretty good. It was more than I had ever brought in before. Because I kind of started out with as a freelance mindset, so I wasn't really worried about revenue. And then once I shifted to no, I actually want to build an agency, there was a different mentality there. And so I was telling him about my first year in revenue, and he goes, "Well, that's not very much." And I was like, "Oh, but I guess you're right. I am still playing small." Okay. Interesting. And, it's funny. I came back to him a year and a half later because I had ended up more than doubling revenue the next year. And he didn't remember having said that to me. And I was like, it was exactly what I needed. I needed somebody to tell me to stop playing small. And so, the way he said it might have been a little harsh, but I'm okay with that. I mean,
Sometimes we need those hard truths, and it's really for our benefit and out of a place of kindness.
yeah.
And we need it.
Yep. It was
Yeah.
so yeah, like I said, he didn't realize he said that to me, but it was exactly what I needed. So but it's funny because I do look back at the coaches I've had, and many of them have been men instead of women. And I think it's just because the men they've already achieved this. So they're like, no, seriously, you're not doing that right. And but I do have one female coach, and she's been tremendous on the mindset side of things, which is amazing. We're talking about mindset and things like that. And something that a lot of women think about is, okay, so that's good and all. I know I can expect to make more money, but what does that actually mean? What do I do with it? Because I know you talk about having more than one bank account, and that's a foreign idea to many people. They just think the one bank account, maybe a savings account, and that's it. So explain that a little bit.
I encourage people to think about their money and treat it like a business. Your money is your business. And when I am setting up a framework for financial management in a business, it is the same exact blueprint that I set up for people individually. And the art is in around, like you said, systems, automations, allocations. If a dollar doesn't have a home, it will find its way out of your bank account. Money wants to go to work, right? And if we don't control where it goes to work, it's going to go to work without us. And we're going to be like, where did it all go? And so, what I teach people within my framework is how to automate their cash flow. And it's great for people that don't like budgets because it's kind of bank account budgeting. You don't have to have a formal budget. If you work the system exactly how it's designed, you'll just have left what you can spend. I call it your bougie budget, right? So things like setting up automatic transfers, minimum balance alerts, things like that. We do use a multi-bank system where we have about 4 to 5 different bank accounts, but each bank account has a purpose. And only specific expenses come out of those bank accounts. And we're automating that much money needs to go there every paycheck, that much money needs to go there. That's how much I'm going to save and invest because we need to do better at prioritizing that. And whatever is left is left. That's your bougie budget. Go blow it. Go do whatever you want because you should absolutely have fun with your money.
I love that, you talk about not having the shame and the guilt behind money. And you also talk about something that I hear women say a lot. Oh, I don't have enough money to save. And you say baloney. And so tell me your theory on that.
Tired of overpriced energy drinks full of junk? Same. That's why I use Babella, a self-carbonating hydration packet that gives you clean energy, electrolytes, and vitamins without the crash. Just add water, shake, and sip. It's way more affordable than typical energy drinks and way better for you. Use code ChrissyBernal15 at checkout to get 15% off at drinkbabello.com. Hydration just got an upgrade.
I get that a lot too. Either I don't have enough or I don't make enough. And saving is not about an amount. Let go of the idea that you have a certain dollar amount that you have to be willing to set aside to start saving or investing. Let go of it. Because if you're not saving and investing now, just like the lottery winners, when you get money, you're still not going to save and invest. Saving is a habit. It is a habit that you develop. And if, like I tell my business owners, if you can't manage $250,000 a year, you're not going to be able to manage $7 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
We have to start that habit, no matter how much it is. And this is why automations are important. You can set it up to where right out of your paycheck, you never see it's gone. You save $5 a paycheck because it's a habit. And then once you do get an abundance of income, guess what's going to happen automatically? It's already gone out of your brain.
You've already made it a habit that's established. And so it doesn't feel so hard to put that savings aside. I love that. And you also have a trick that you suggest people do when it comes to like specifically Amazon and the things that can kind of trip us up. What is your trick for Amazon?
Yeah. So I want to go into this by explaining Parkinson's law. And this is why a lot of us
Yeah, I heard this
spend
episode.
everything that we make. Yeah, right. So Parkinson's law says that for every increase in how much you make, how much you spend will either meet or exceed that increase within 4 to 6 months, unless a specific force is put against it. Now, the reason why most people are spending more money than they are keeping is because of this thing that is working against us more so now than ever, and it is instant gratification. We live in a world where we can get anything we want anytime we want. I can buy something on Amazon now, and it'll be at my doorstep before the end of day if I'm in the right area. And so the trick that I tell people to do, this is how we get ourselves out of the habit of thinking we need this and we need this now. But the trick is, and I do this personally for myself too, I will go through Amazon, and if I think I want something or need something, I'll put it in the cart. But I let it sit there for, if you want to put a timeline on it, 2 weeks. And if you don't need or want that thing in 2 weeks, first of all, if you can't do without it for 2 weeks, something's wrong or you're lying to yourself because you probably can. Second of all, when I go through that list, when I'm actually ready to say, okay, I'm ready to check out, I have enough credit on my credit cards because I don't pay for Amazon stuff. My credit card company pays me and I use that money to pay for Amazon stuff. So I say that's my budget, right? That's part of my bougie budget. And so when I go through that list and for things that have been sitting in there for at least 2 weeks, what tends to happen is 80% of it, I'll be like, nah, I'm good. I don't need it.
Yeah, I did that myself recently. It was a cute top that I saw on Amazon, and I was like, all right, I'll put it in the cart. And then I went back 2 weeks later, and I was like, I don't need it, and just delete. And so it definitely works. And you probably know with Amazon fashion, it's kind of hit or miss as to what you're going to get. So probably would have been a pretty crappy top, but So having it in the different banks in general is super important. And I have 2 points I want to cover on this on the bank accounts, and then 2 on the how you get Amazon paid for by your cards. And I was just talking to my husband about this yesterday. We were talking about how I'm so thankful that a long time ago, I just instinctually split up my money for the company into different banks. And there was a time when we had one of our many hurricanes that we have here. And the main bank that I used for like payroll and things like that, I couldn't access it. Like their system is down, like completely down. And so they were at the bank. You could go to the bank and they could deposit your money, but you couldn't get any out. I'm not really sure how it worked. But so had I not had another account that I could go to at a different bank to make sure I could still make payroll, that could have been really bad. And so I was super thankful that I had split up those 2 accounts into 2 different banks. So I love that you bring that up because I don't think a lot of people think like that.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the perks. And so the multiple bank account system is inspired by a book called Profit First by Mike McCallowicz right here. And when I read that book, it was just constantly like, yeah, after yeah, after yeah. Because I did the same thing. Before I read the book, I already had 3 bank accounts at the time. And I'm reading this book, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know what I'm doing. It was like such a confirmation, right? And in the book, he goes over so many of the psychological reasons about why visually separating your money is beneficial. And one of the most profound ones is we're already managing money that way. Majority of us, we're opening our app, we're looking at our checking account balance, we're doing math in our head and saying, okay, cool, I'm good. And inevitably, a bill comes out that we forgot in our head and something goes awry, right? And it's, we set it up to where it's so simple. Like most of your fixed bills every single month are going to be pretty much the exact same. You know exactly how much it costs you for rent, utilities, right? Phone, internet, all of those kind of necessity expenses. So that's kind of the starting place for how we separate those in multiple bank accounts.
I love that. And I love the Profit First book too. Yeah, so great. And I don't remember if it was him or the Rich Dad Poor Dad book that said that you're, manage your business, manage you as in a business, like what you said earlier about with money. And so the other point I wanted to get to was how you said that your credit cards pay for those types of things. And I know you've mentioned that your credit cards pay for Christmas. And what do you mean by that? Because you're not just going and adding those onto your credit cards.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there's this thing that we're all told that credit cards are bad. It's not wrong statistically, because statistically credit card debt is off the charts. But credit cards are not bad. It is misuse of those credit cards that leads to bad outcomes. And when you intentionally get your money in order, and you are living within your equation. And by that, I mean, whether it's a business, an individual, we are all living in the same exact equation. Money we make minus money we spend equals money we keep, right? The problem with most of us is that we have a net zero mindset. We spend everything that we make. And thanks to credit cards, we're able to even spend money that we don't have. But the beauty of getting a grip on your money, mastering managing your money, is that you can now leverage things like credit cards. Credit cards all have most of them have rewards programs, and that equates to cash, right? And now I write a fine line between having no credit cards and having way too many credit cards. Like I myself only have 3. In my book, I could go and compare all the benefits and rewards and all of those things, but like it's pennies on the dollar. And the point is that I do it. So I charge as much as I can on my credit cards, but I pay those credit cards off every single month in full. I have not paid a penny of interest since opening these credit cards. So then what happens is I get all these rewards on the back end and I let them stack and I let them stack and I'll use them on Amazon. But most of those points I use for Christmas, for example. So you can actually, once you understand the flow of money and you can reel in your habits around it, you can make money off of credit cards.
Yeah. Like I know the first year that I had my Discover card, they do that double rewards.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, perfect. And once I did the calculations, I was like, oh yeah, sweet. It'll totally take care of Christmas if I just do this with Discover that first year. And it's like, oh, brilliant. So I love that. And, that's not something I was definitely taught, Dave Ramsey style, no debt. If you can't buy it in cash, you shouldn't have it. And, I understand the concept behind it, but I have to say following that definitely did not set us up well because I know when we went to go buy our first car, they were like, sir, you're not in the system. They're like, not that you have a bad credit score. You're not even here. And so we didn't get a good interest rate.
You have to start somewhere. And in order to get to the next level, you have to master level 1. And in my opinion, Dave Ramsey is speaking to people who need to master level 1. Most of the people that really benefit from his programs are not good with money. They're not good with credit cards. And so at that point in time, the best advice for them probably is, shred your credit cards, right? Don't go get into a loan right now, and don't get into debt right now. But I also believe that your goal should be to graduate from those limiting strategies and into a place of leveraging those strategies. But again, it's a journey, it's a progression. So know where you're at, know where your weaknesses are, and find the thing that's going to help you get to the next level. But then identify when you are ready for the next level and find the new thing.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned accountability buddies earlier. That would be such a great thing for us women, just find another person in your networking group who's, same level you are or trying to figure this out as well. And, you can just keep each other accountable. And I think you're ready for the next level or, that sort of thing. Because I think sometimes we're even afraid to admit we're ready for the next level just because one, it's scary. And two, it's like, what if we fail? Those sorts of things and the fear of judgments, like what you were mentioning earlier. Oh, are you too good for me now? And, what advice do you have for women who are afraid of going to that next level?
Everything that you've ever wanted is on the other side of your fear. And that's what you're missing out on. Life is scary no matter what. There are hard decisions no matter what. If you're complacent for long enough, something will probably shift in your reality that forces you to do it anyway. Do it for yourself, on your own accord, and recognize your votes, recognize your achievements. Look at what you've already done. If you've gotten to the place to where you're ready for the next level, you've built the foundation. And if you do it in finance correctly, you're probably pretty safe. Things are never as bad as we think they could be, ever. And especially like everybody's ultimate fear is, I'm going to lose all my money. I'm going to lose my house. I'm going to be living in the streets. Rarely does that happen, number one. Number two, if you have what it takes to get past level 1, you surely have what it takes to pick yourself up and get to level 2 anyway. Something's always going to happen.
Yeah, I've heard that a bunch. Like, if you look back at all the super wealthy and successful people, you can look and see just how many times they've fallen. But then they've gone, "Oh, okay, well, I'll get right back out. No worries." I mean, you and I have talked about how Barbara Corcoran she's declared bankruptcy, 4 times, I think, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's just knowing that I did it once, I can do it again, and maybe take a look at what went wrong and try not to do that again. But
yeah, failing is not the enemy. Failing is an opportunity. And it's also one more way it doesn't work.
That's awesome. Yep. Well, I know, Chelsea, that you've got some courses that you're working on and you're working on your book. When should we kind of expect for things to come out for you? I know your book's early 2026, but what about your courses you're working on?
Yeah, everything is launching in 2026. It's all coming out together. We are working on it now. I'm so excited. It's going to be great. So yeah, you can subscribe to get the notifications of when it exactly comes out from our website.
Awesome.
And yeah.
And you've got some information on your website, I know, that kind of teaches the history of, women in finance and what we were allowed to do and what we weren't allowed to do. So it's a good resource to go to because you really simplify it. I love that, you take all the complication out of it. So what is your website that people should go to see you?
It's www.moneymastery.work.
Nice. Yeah, because And I guess on Instagram, you're under Money Whisperer, right? If I remember.
I think that's it. The Money Whisperer.
Yeah, I know that you call
I'll link on our website. If you go there, you'll see everything else.
Well, and so it's funny. I was talking to somebody about you, and they're like, "Why does she call herself the Money Whisperer?" So I was like, it's a good question. Why do you call yourself that?"
Okay, so this is a funny story, and it doesn't sound the way that it comes off. But do you remember the show on the Discovery Channel way back when called The Dog Whisperer?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So wait, look, and I know how it sounds, but when I saw that, I thought it was magic. I'm like, he doesn't even have to use words. He just sees it and he's intuitive and he knows it and he gets these dogs to do these things. And so for me, like when I say, show me your bank account and show me your calendar, and money is a fractal, I see money for me is a lens into a person. And I see them for what is happening outside of the money. And my job and my goal is to help them see them and to be their own hero and to do the things that I know technically they're going to have to do, but it's the mental that's holding them back. I want to empower them to do that for themselves. So to me, it's kind of like an intuitive lens to be able to help the person and then watch the money change.
Nice, nice. Well, and I do remember that show, which I'm aging myself there, but now that I've learned so much about quantum science, I'm like, oh, he's just on the same vibration as the
Yeah,
other.
that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
So you're just on that vibration because money does have a vibration. It does. Everything has a vibration, and so it's like, but yeah, I know now. Now I can look back at shows like that and go, oh, okay. Because it's even that way with my dog, one of our dogs, specifically Kronos. He and I will do ohms. He likes to do like the ohm, he'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll put my head on his forehead and do it. And he starts to do it with me. And it's because we're on the same frequency, but he won't do it with my husband. My husband, right. And Kronos is his baby. So for Kronos to not want to do that with him is like, whoa. But he'll do it with
Yeah.
mom.
It's a whole nother world to tap into. Have you seen The Shark Whisperer yet on Netflix?
No,
Oh, you have to. You would love it. Oh, you have to, Chrissy.
I'll check
Let
that.
me know what you think about it. Yeah, but it's the same idea. This woman and the way that she is around sharks of all things, it is you watch it and you're like, she's on a different level. Like something's going on there. And I don't know what it is, but it's that magic. It's that magic that happens. And for me, people come to me with help with their money. And what I show them is the mirror that there are no money problems, only problems showing up in your money. And here's how we can start to heal those.
Mic drop right there. Yeah, I love that because I know you are always like everything's figure outable, just like Marie Far. I always say her last name wrong. But yeah,
Marie Forleo.
yeah, Forleo. I know that's something you're like it's always fixable. You can always figure it out. It's just figuring out like what you just said. It's not a money problem. It's a problem showing up in money. So I love that. I think that's a great place to end. I hope people will go to your website, go to your Instagram, go to your LinkedIn, all the places that they can find you, and definitely get on the list to get your book when it comes out because that's going to be good. I can't wait. I'm really excited for that. So thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your wisdom. And I know that you're going to help every single listener, not just one. But I know there will be every single listener will enjoy it. So thank you, Kelsey.
That's my hope. I love having these conversations with you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.